Hello, this is SJ Talks and Life coming back at you with another video. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please, and thank you. Lots of black men complain that black women have bad attitudes. They say that we have bad attitudes. And I'm really getting, I don't know about you other black women out there, but I'm really getting sick and tired of black men saying that. It's this constant narrative that they keep putting out there over and over, and they're the main ones that's putting it out there. It's this narrative that we have a bad attitude, and I've explained in other videos that all women have a bad attitude, specifically at certain times of the month. At certain times of the month, at certain times of the month, all women have bad attitudes. I've worked with plenty of white women in the workplace. When I was in the workforce, I worked with plenty of white women that had attitudes. Okay, black women are not the only race of women on the earth that have attitudes. First of all, not all black women have bad attitudes, but it's that stereotype. That's that stereotype that we do have bad attitudes, and unfortunately, our own men are pushing that narrative here on social media. And then we get accused of having a bad attitude when we stand up for ourselves, when, this country is so sexist and misogynistic, and it's really terrible and horrible in the black community. When black women stand up for themselves, when we stand up for ourselves, when we speak out about abuse or mistreatment from men, when we speak out about how men view us, when we speak out about how we're being bashed, how and abuse, and how we're being treated in relationships, um, we get accused. We really get accused of having a bad attitude. Just recently here, Elder Live did a reaction video on me and said, because he didn't agree with some of the things that I was saying, I was talking about the black wife effect, and because he didn't agree with some of the things that I was saying, he said that I had a bad attitude. So anytime that we voice our opinion about something, and I was talking about the black wife effect, for the most part, it was a positive video because I didn't say anything derogatory about black men in it. But because he didn't agree with um, me being happy about black women being glorified, he wasn't happy about that, me talking about that. And because he wasn't happy with me talking about that, then he decided to say that I had a bad attitude, you know. And, of course, he lied on me, told some lies about me and everything. And said I said some things that I didn't say. Of course, check my video out where I'm doing a reaction to his reaction. But when we have an opinion, and or when we have an opinion about men's attitude towards us, when we stand up for ourselves, when we're very vocal and we speak out about abuse, mistreatment, or anything, we get accused of having a bad attitude. And lots of black women stand their ground. Lots of black women stand their ground. Lots of black women put their foot down, and lots of black women are honest. And because of that, we get accused of having a bad attitude. But all women can have a bad attitude, specifically, like I said, at certain times of the month. And menopause. Um, I worked with plenty of white women in the workplace. Boy, I tell you, mm, I encountered some terrible attitudes from them. Terrible. But excuses is made for them. You know, I find that my experiences in the workplace with white women, excuses is made for them. Oh, she's just venting. They make 50 million excuses for them. But then, we, of course, that's a whole nother video. We're black women, and we're not even allowed to be silent in the workplace. When we're silent in the workplace, we get accused of having a bad attitude. When I talked about it on here. I did a video talking about there was a woman that came on TikTok and said that she doesn't, she just does her job. A black woman, she says she just does her job. She doesn't go out of her way to chop it up with, because she wasn't going out her way to chop it up with her coworkers. They thought she had a bad attitude. So not only society looks at black women as having bad attitude, our own race of men keep pushing that narrative on social media. They keep pushing the narrative that we have a bad attitude, which is in turn encouraging other races of people to view us that way as well. Now, where I'm going with this is, because that narrative is being pushed, because of that narrative is being pushed that we have these, that black women have bad attitudes. I always talk about the black femicide rate on here, and I always talk about the domestic violence rates, and the black femicide rate is extremely high with black women. It is the highest of all races of women in this country. We have the highest femicide rates, and we have the highest domestic violence rates in this country. And it's to the point to where it's so high that it's alarming. Okay, so I talk about that a lot on here, because I'm very, very concerned about it. I mean, it's my responsibility as a black female content creator to shed light on that. And because of it, and I find that when every time a black woman is being abused, when I talk about black femicide cases, when I talk about cases of black women being abused or black femicide, every time I talk about these cases, I always get black men in the comment section saying something about an attitude, a black woman having an attitude, or maybe it was because of her attitude. They always make excuses. They make excuses for the men, and then they say, oh, they, of course they say the typical, she should have chose better, but then they say things about like it's her attitude. And then here lately, black men have just been randomly attacking black women because the black women are refusing their advances. They, make an advance at a black woman, and the black woman refuses the advance. And when she refuses the advance, they've been getting unalived, attacked. The black women have been getting unalived, and attacked. And one of the reasons, and then the instead of black men saying, okay, well, that's not right, that's not acceptable, that man shouldn't have done that, instead of them saying that, they defend the man by saying it's because of the black woman's attitude. The reason why he probably attacked her was because of her attitude. Are you serious? So basically, you're saying black women deserve to be abused. We assert because if a man is a black man is making a pass at a black woman, because a lot of times you guys don't know how to approach women. In a lot of cases, you guys don't know how to approach women. You just don't. And a lot of times you're disrespectful in your approach. Okay. So it's like basically the woman is kind of reacting to your disrespectful approach to her. And I'm not saying in all cases, but in a lot of cases, in my lifetime, I've had black men approach me disrespectfully. Okay. And so in a lot of cases, these black men are not approaching the women in the right way. Okay, so quite naturally the woman is going to be on a defense. If you approach a woman disrespectfully, quite naturally she's going to be on a defense. Okay, so even in cases where the woman is somewhat trying to be respectful, the man is still attacking her. Okay, but that's the number one thing that the men say. Instead of them saying, okay, that's wrong, that man should have not done that, they say, oh, well, it was her attitude. Maybe it was her attitude. Are you serious? So a woman that refuses a man's advances, a black woman that refuses a man's advances, does she deserve to be attacked because of the way she refused that advance? So now, us black white or black female content creators and us black women having to tell our younger women in our family, and black female content creators have to tell black women how to turn down black men so they can get out alive, basically, or they can get out without being attacked. And sometimes that's no guarantee, because if you do that, then you still could get attacked. You know what I mean? So it's, and instead of these guys saying that what these men are doing is wrong, they're saying that, oh well, maybe it was because of her attitude. When a black woman is in a domestic violence type situation, I've heard a lot of black men say black women got a lot of mouth. You know, if a black woman is in a domestic violence situation, well, maybe it was because of her mouth. Maybe she got too much mouth, or her attitude. Instead of saying, no, it's not acceptable for a man to hit on a woman. If he gets angry at a woman, he needs to walk away. That's not okay. If a man should never put his hand on a woman, this, that, and the other. The first go to when these things are discussed, these cases are discussed, the first thing that men say, that black men typically say, is, well, maybe it was her attitude. Or they'll say it's her attitude and she should have chose better. Those are the two things that they say. So you mean to tell me that black women deserve to be abused? We deserve to be abused. We deserve to be unalive because of what you perceive. Because a lot of times it's perception. A lot of times it's perception. It's what you perceive as being a bad attitude. And the stereotype that us black women, because we're the most stigmatized stereotype race of women on the planet. The stereotype, that this narrative that you people guys in society keeps throwing out there, that we all of us have bad attitudes, somehow equals to us people, or us being abused, that being justified for some reason. When black women get abused or unalived, it's somehow justified because she had a bad attitude. She had too much mouth. Are you freaking kidding me? So it could be a situation where a black woman is standing up for herself. You know, when I was in my relationships, I was a good woman. I was a good woman. But the one thing I did is I stood my ground. I stood my ground. And that is an issue. When a black woman stands her ground, that is an issue. Why is that an issue? Why is that an issue when a black woman stands her ground? When a black woman stands up for herself and she stands her ground and she lets you know how she feels about certain things, why is that an issue? That's what I don't understand. Why is that an issue? But it's an issue. Our men have an issue with it. Our men have an issue for us standing up for ourselves. And it's being out, yeah, there are some women, black women, that do have bad attitudes. You know, I talked about that. Did a video talking about there are some women, but all women, there are all races of women that have bad attitudes. It is there's women, or maybe I should reword this. There's women in all races that have bad attitudes. It's not just black women. That's what I meant to say. There's women in all races that have bad attitude. There are white women that have bad attitudes. There are Hispanic women that have bad attitudes. All women can have a bad attitude at certain times in the month. Okay? I don't know how many times I've heard white women say that, "Oh, I'm premenstrual. That's why I'm like this, because I'm premenstrual." You know, I don't know how many times I've heard that term in reference to white women, because they say that. Well, I'm like this. I'm on edge because I'm premenstrual. Black women can't make that excuse. You see, we can't make that excuse. We don't get a pass. They get a pass. We don't. And they get a pass in the workplace. See, they can have an attitude and hoop and holler and cuss from one end to the next, and they get a pass. I've seen it. If I've seen it once, I've seen it I don't know how many times in the workplace. It's a double standard. They get a pass, and excuses get made for them. Well, white people are running the workplace. It's like I'm working for the white people is what I'm doing. They're the ones that's running the workplace. So excuses is made for them. Okay, they get a free pass, and even black men will go get a white woman. They'll complain about black women having an attitude. That's the kicker. They'll complain about a black woman having an attitude, but why do they go get a white woman that has an attitude? Because some of those white women take on of what they perceive, and I will say perceive because not all black women, we're not a monolith, and we all of us don't act the same way. It's their perception. They act as what they perceive how black women act, how all of us act. Why a black man will swear up and down that we all have bad attitudes, but then they'll go get a white woman that has an attitude. So it's a double standard. With the things that they won't accept in us, they will accept with another race of woman. Go figure. Because I, we've been accused of being too masculine. I've been around masculine white women too. I've been around very masculine white women in the workplace. Okay, but we get that label. We get that label: masculine, bad attitude, confrontational. We get those labels, and society views us that way. So when we go in the workplace, even when a black woman is being silent, she's still being accused of having an attitude. It's on TikTok. Black women are talking about it on TikTok. Like I said, I came on a video of a black woman talking about that. I've been accused of that, and I've never had an attitude problem. Because for one thing, I wouldn't brought up that way. I wasn't raised that way. I always treat everybody with kindness. I've been accused of. I've said this in other videos. I've been accused of not having an attitude. I've gotten a reverse stereotype, so to speak. Like I've been accused of not having an attitude. Well, the white people I've been accused of. Some white people have accused me of having attitude in the workplace, but then on the flip side, I've been accused of not having an attitude, not standing up for myself enough. So it's a reverse stereotype. It's like I'm not behaving a certain way because I'm a black woman. You expect me to be a certain way because I'm a black woman. No, I'm just being me. I'm just being June. But you're expecting me to be a certain way because I am a black woman. Because I'm not a confrontational. I will say, go on a record and saying I'm not a confrontational person. I've never have been. I'm not a confrontational person. And so I try to avoid confrontation as much as possible until you back me into a corner. Until you back me into a corner and you push the wrong button. You push the wrong buttons and you back me into a corner, or you put me in a position to where I have to address something, then okay, I'm going to address it. I'm human. I have a line. Everybody has a line. But for the most part, I try to avoid confrontation. And so because of that, I've been accused of not standing up for myself enough and not having enough attitude. Go figure. Because I'm a black woman, I'm expected to have an attitude. Go figure. So that stereotype is terrible. It's that stigma and that stereotype that's put on black women that's horrible. And I think our abuse, because of black women being abused at high rates and unalived at high rates, it's people say that to justify the abuse. They're saying it to justify the abuse. They're saying it to justify black women being alive. And there is no justification whatsoever for a man being abusive towards a black woman. And a lot of times it's about perception. Because we have that stereotype on us, it's about what people are perceiving. It's about perception, like black women being silent in the workplace. It's perceived as her having a bad attitude. No, She's just coming to work doing her job, and she's not going out of her way to chop it up with her coworkers. But because they're not acting, it's a stereotype because they expect her to be loud. Is another one of the stereotypes that get put on. They expect her to be loud, and they have all these stereotypes in their mind about black women, and when black women defy those stereotypes, they don't know what to think of it. But that particular black woman is just being herself. She's just being herself, okay? And she's going to work and she's doing her job. She's not going out of her way to chop it up with her coworkers, and that's looked at, viewed as an issue. And she has an attitude. It's because this stereotype and this narrative that people have in their heads about how all black women act. And when you don't act in that way, like, circle back around to me, when I didn't act like how people perceive, aggressive is another one. When I'm not being aggressive or confrontational attitude, when I wasn't being that way in the workplace, then I got accused of, oh, you're not standing up for yourself. And I even got called soft one time by another black woman. Hmm. And it's because I'm not acting in a stereotypical way that you think black women should act, then I'm not standing up for myself. First of all, I pick and choose my battles, particularly when I'm in the workplace, because you have to. You're dealing with white folks. You got to walk a straight line. You gotta be very strategic, and you gotta be careful how you move. And I pick and choose my battles, and I'm not a confrontational person. And if I felt like something needed to be addressed, I did address it. You know, I prefer to not come to work and be arguing with folks and going back and forth with folks. I come to work to make a well, when I was working, I'm not working now, but when I was working, I I went to work to earn a paycheck. Okay, not to argue with folk, go back and forth with folk, or whatever, you know. But because I'm not a confrontational person, that's who I am. That's who I am. That's June. But because I'm a black woman, people expected me to be aggressive, loud, confrontational attitude. And of course, when I come on here and I voice my opinion about different things that's going on in the black community, now I get accused of having an attitude. Hmm. Because a particular person doesn't agree with what I said. And of course, black men are pushing this. A lot of black men on social media are pushing this narrative, and it's very and it's hurtful to black women in the workplace, because when black women go in the workplace, then white people have that expectation of black women as being quiet. Then now that they're expecting you to have these they've got all these stereotypes in their head, and then it's still being viewed, and you're still what black women are being silent, and it's still being accused of having a bad attitude, and it's because of that narrative being pushed, and I think it's being used to justify black women being abused, black women being unalived. It's being used to justify. Our men are saying these things to justify it. Instead of calling that man out and saying what he did was wrong, they're using these things to justify. It's really terrible. It's really terrible. I'm really over that being said about all black women. That being held over all black women's heads, that we all have these bad attitudes, and literally, there's women in all groups, there's women in all races that have bad attitudes. There's people that encounter Asian women with attitudes, especially when you go in their stores. When you go in their hair care stores and stuff, some of them have bad attitudes. I've heard black people talk about it here on this app. You go in their stores, some of them Asian women be having an attitude because they stereotype us. We need to stop shopping with. We need to stop shopping there. When they mistreat us in their stores, we need to quit shopping. But that's a whole nother video. But yeah, I've heard black people say they encounter Asian people with attitudes, Asian women with attitudes. So there's certain Pacific women in all groups that have bad attitudes. We're the only one that are stigmatized by that. We're the only one. We're the only race of women that get that label and that stigma. Every last one of us, all of us get it, and we get bashed because of it, and we get abused and unalive. That is one of the things that they're saying to justify it, and it's not okay, and it's not to be used. A woman being abused and being unalive is unacceptable. Period. Point blank. If you with a woman, you a man, and you with a woman, and you think she got a bad attitude or whatever, why are you with her? Why are you with her? If this woman has characteristics that you don't like or whatever, okay, why are you with this woman? Why are you with her? Plain and simple. Why are you with her? Don't be with somebody that is not treating you right. If a woman is not treating you right and you don't think she has the proper attitude towards you, then why are you with her? Just, you know, why leave her and then stereotype all the women and all black women and say all black women are a certain way? So when black men say that, I say, you don't know all black women. I don't recall meeting you. You don't know all women to make such a broad generalization that we all have bad attitudes. And I'm getting tired of every time a black woman is unalived or she's abused. That is one of the first things that come out of men's mouth. She had too much mouth. She had an attitude. She needs to choose better. Why don't men be better? Of course, I've done a video talking about that too. So that's what I wanted to. I was marinating and meditating on that, and I was like, yeah, I gotta talk about that. There's absolutely no reason for abuse for black women or any woman for that matter to be abused or unalived. There's absolutely no reason for a man to ever abuse a woman, an unalive a woman. It is unacceptable, and we got to stop with this victim blaming in the black community. And this is part of our problem. You know, we're blaming black women for everything, and we're not holding the men accountable like we should. We're not holding the men accountable, and we're blaming the women. So, got to fix it. So hit me up in that comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are. Um, Hit that like, subscribe, and share. If you come in my comment section bashing black women or bashing me, I'm going to block you because I don't play that. All right. Have a blessed holiday. Be safe out there. See you guys in the next video.